The spring trail running season is heating up, lots of big races on the calendar, and probably more importantly, lots of new spring 2026 trail running shoe models coming out. Check out some recent reviews on the channel. A lot of bangers out there, and I do have more in the pipeline. To that end, with so much testing and running that I've got going on, I want to do some full A/B testing across various models compared to each other. I like to get one shoe on each foot and really dig into the details. But at the moment, with the spring models flooding in, I just don't have time to get into that type of specific testing just yet. So I'm going to go ahead and answer a few questions from the comments here, specifically regarding the newly released Arc'teryx Sylan 2. There seems to be a lot of interest in this model. People want to know, with the big changes to the rocker design, updated midsole, carbon fiber plate in the mix, how does that stack up with other popular shoes on the market, namely the La Sportiva Prodigio Pro, always a popular pick. I had many questions about comparisons from the Sylan 2 to the Prodigio Pro. Also, couple other models on the table that were suggested by commenters, and also stuff that I had in mind as well. So I'm going to go through some comments here, talk it through before down the line getting into the full A/B testing, which you'll see on the channel down the road. First, I've got a few general questions, and then I'll get into the bit of the comparison. First one comes from Bipedal Locomotion. I'm a little confused about the sizing on this model and was hoping you could clarify. Would you say that a US men's 10 is your typical size in most trail shoes, and the Arc'teryx Sylan 2, a men's US 9.5, fits you best? Arc'teryx in the past has been known to run large, so I believe at times you could even size down in Arc'teryx. Previous to the past maybe 1 or 2 years, I had tried on some US 9s in the past, probably 2 years ago at TRE, and that was fitting me well. I do consider my true to size to be 9.5. Again, check out my recent ultra racing shoe sizing video titled with the Cascadia Elite. I've got mostly all of those super shoes in a US 10. Typically that matches up to an EU 44, but I'm finding that a lot of the uppers are becoming very snug. The fit is becoming very dialed as the stack heights become more energetic, more bouncy. There's plates in the mix. The upper has to do more to secure the fit. That in turn means I'm finding that I perhaps have to size up a little bit, maybe even a 10.5. Certainly in the Cascadia Elite, check out my full review. The 10.5 US was my preferred sizing in that model over the US 10 that I had always worn in Brooks. It's hard to say what is exactly true to size. I would say 9.5 to 10 is my true to size. Normally I've been using a 10 for pretty much all of my longest distance ultra races, but again now I'm finding perhaps I may need to go to a 10.5 with the more secure fits. This one I have in a 9.5. I would consider that my true to size. Check out my full review, of course, on this one. I do not have a full thumbs width at US 9.5. I believe I've got about at least a half, maybe 2/3 thumbs width up front in this one in the US 9.5. I think if you wanted to go for comfort, you can definitely size up to US 10. For me, that would be US 10. That would be my normal ultra sizing in this shoe. I also did a recent video featuring this white version of the Prodigio Pro, which I have in a US 11 EU 44.5. Double check this one. This is an EU 43.1/3. This one fits similarly to my black Prodigio Pro, which is listed at a 43.5. So these have more, I would say, snug, I would say mountain technical fits in the sizing that I do have here. I would not recommend sizing down in this shoe at all. I think if you have a narrow foot, I would recommend true to size, which I would consider my lower 9.5 end of the range. I think I could definitely still run a US 10 in this shoe if I wanted to have a little bit more space, if I was looking at this shoe for, say, a longer distance type race. For me, this is more of like a technical kind of shorter distance, mid-distance shoe, at least in terms of my usage, having a lot of more higher stack plated super cushioned ultra shoes in the mix. So I would recommend going true to size in this model if you do want that secure lockdown fit If you want a little bit more space here, the fit is very dialed. Again, check out my review on this one. I compare it to the previous Sylan Pro. The Sylan Pro, especially around the ball of the foot, seems to be a little bit more loose, a little bit more volume. I shouldn't say loose because that one is a matrix upper, but it does just seem to have a little bit more volume around the ball of the foot, whereas this one is a little bit more dialed. So if you want to have a little touch of extra space and probably a little bit more volume over there, I would maybe go up a half size in this one. Next one, this one's from K Ganest 100. Is it possible that this shoe is a little overweight considering its stack height? Arc'teryx are well built, but not sure their weight is competitive. I have this one at 9.8 ounces, 3630 stack. Couple of shoes I have out here on the table that I think are most comparable. Spin Ultra 2 is certainly a competitor to this shoe right here. It has a TPEE midsole here, no carbon fiber plate. It is very sturdy shoe, off-trail, rugged, technical mountain running shoe. Sizing on this one is a US 10, but an EU 43. This one definitely runs a little bit snug. Same kind of dialed fit, but this one has quite a bit of taper up front in the toe box. Even in the US 10, it is listed at a 43, so perhaps I could probably or should probably have a 43.5 in this Scarpa sizing here. At this sizing, US 10 again, I feel a little bit squeezed about here in the front of the toe box, and I wouldn't want to have this on my feet for, say, a longer distance. I definitely want to size up in this model. But in terms of weight, this one comes in at 10.7 ounces. On the other end of the scale here, moving over to the Sky 2, I've got 8.7 ounces on this one, and this is a very thin shoe, super flexible. This has a carbon fiber plate, believe it or not. Based on the weight, it easily flexes. But again, 8.7 ounces compared to 9.8 here. You've got the carbon fiber plate in here. It's decently flexible, but not to the level of this one. Much lower stack here, much more flexible plate. Do have deeper lugs here, 5 mil, but you're really feeling the ground a lot in this shoe. It feels quite minimal underfoot compared to, say, the foam and level of protection that you're getting in this shoe. So an ounce more, but you're getting a lot more. So this commenter here, K Gannis, was talking about the weight here. At 9.8, I think it's pretty solid. Again, you're getting a very durable shoe. The materials are all top notch here. 3630, you're not getting a minimal stack like you're getting here. You're getting something similar to the Spin Ultra 2, and the Spin Ultra 2 is almost a full ounce heavier than this. So the weight I don't see as an issue at all with this shoe. It's not meant to be a thin, lightweight racer type shoe. It's kind of that mid to high stack mountain running shoe. So you got to think of it in that context. Next one here. Oh, by the way, Arc'teryx did release some pictures of the plate and the midsole composition. I didn't have these in my full review video, but they posted them on Instagram, so obviously we can share them now. It does have that wishbone shape that I talked about here. You have the carbon fiber plate running along the sides, and it comes about here, but notably it doesn't extend to the rear or the heel. And I think that is nice because a lot of times you can feel that firmness on heel landings, especially in rocky terrain, harder ground, mountain running. So they kind of leave that alone, so at least you can crash a bit into the heel without worrying about firmness there. The plate definitely adds a level of propulsion to this that was not there in the Sylan Pro. The Pro, you had that rocker roll. It was like an efficient rolling type motion, somewhat stiff shoe. Similar, I would say, in stiffness to this one, but it was all about the rocker there. Here, the plate does give it a little propulsion, and you can see from the picture here, the split nature of it allows a lot of good ground feel under the middle of the shoe. You have this big kind of cutout here, not a cutout, but a little kind of divot here that allows flex over whatever you're stepping on there. Also, you could see the midsole drop in. All around is the TPEE casing, the green here, and you can see from the picture supercritical EVA drop in, which is quite large. I wasn't sure that it was going to be that big, but it's not a super soft feel underfoot. The TPE casing plus the carbon fiber plate works to kind of give it not a firm ride, but a firm-ish controlled ride versus having, say, a full supercritical EVA, which would feel probably a little bit more softer on the run. This setup here is going to give you definitely more control. Let's see, next comment from Peseta Lancer. Would love to see a Prodigio Pro comparison. At some point was my response. Big difference here is the Sylan 2 has a plate, not as flexible underfoot. This has a film in it, which is very thin, but not a carbon fiber or otherwise plate. You can see how twisty this shoe is. I think that is definitely the big difference in the shoe. Also the midsole foam, you got the TPU, Nitro TPU here. It's definitely bouncier on the run. So you have bounce and flex with this model here, whereas this one you have a little bit more of a controlled midsole setup here, propulsive effect from the plate, and still flexible, but a little more controlled than this one, which is kind of really loose here. Some are gonna like this, some are gonna prefer this kind of more, not rigid, but more controlled setup, let's say. Follow-up comment here, Mark Cola Franceschi 6265. How does the stability and confidence compare to the Prodigio Pro? This is what I was talking about in my response, and I was just mentioning now. It's going to come down, I think, to preference. How do you define stability? Do you like the flexy feel of this one? Do you just like to adapt? Do you like the softer, bouncier ride? Do you feel something like this is stable to you? I tend to like a flexible ride myself, so I just love running in this shoe. Some may not like the kind of softer, flexy feel. They may feel a little bit of looseness in this ride here that you don't get in this one. This one you have a more kind of solid base to land off. It's definitely more protective underfoot. The plate is split, but the foam is definitely a little bit firmer. Here you'll tend to feel stuff pushing up. Your foot is contouring a lot over rocks on the ground. So you'll just feel like impressions under your foot, maybe a little bit more foot strength is necessary in this shoe, whereas this one's gonna offer you a little bit more inherent protection from the shoe itself. So choosing stability and confidence one over the other is likely going to come down to user preference. They're both very good options. Next comment here comes from Damien123A. Going to buy a race shoe, what would you buy? Sylan 2 or Prodigio Pro, since they are the same price? Sylan's $220, Prodigio Pro $225, even lesser apparently in Europe, which is a great deal. Again, I come to the same points here. I'll just reiterate the protective aspect. If you feel like this shoe, the flexibility, the softness underfoot may not be as protective as you would like, that would be a scenario where you want to go with this one. I think this one also does have a little bit more of a dialed fit. Differences in the upper here, they both have these booty construction here. Some people are not a big fan of this clamshell tongue setup here. It has never bothered me at all. You have a more standard booty here, although it is not padded at all. Some people may find this more comfortable without the padding. I don't find an issue with these paddings, but I know some people have felt the pressure of these. I've even heard somebody said they put a little slit here and you could kind of pull these bolsters out if it does bother you. Comfort of fit, maybe one thing. I believe this feels like a little bit wider at the forefoot to me. You do have, I believe, a more aggressive toe sweep, squeezing the toes up a little bit more in this shoe. Check out my recent review with this white one. I talk about thinking about sizing up in this shoe for more comfort. You're gonna maybe lose a little bit of foothold, just a touch. It still holds the foot really well, but you don't wanna be squeezed up front here. And same thing with this one. If you're going true to size, again, you're gonna have a very dialed fit if that's what you're looking for. If you want a little bit more space, a little bit of room around the toes, then I would go up a half size. Next comment here from Robert Runner 8427. Thank you, very good informative review. I will start a 100-miler in 5 weeks time with some technical parts and good runnable terrain. I wanted to use the FUGA EX Pro. Now I think about the Sylan 2. What do you think is the main difference between these shoes? By the way, weight-wise, 10.4 ounces, 37.32. So a little bit heavier than this shoe, similar stack height. This is definitely a bouncier shoe. You've got the beaded TPU midsole here. It's very bouncy. You have an X-shaped carbon fiber plate in this shoe. solid amount of flex here, but the X shape goes through the middle here, so a little less around the middle of the foot. I find you're more likely to get thrown off on this shoe. It's definitely less stable than this one. I believe it is certainly a faster shoe. The bounce of this TPU plus the plate is really good. You just have to be aware of the bounciness of the shoe. It's good for propulsion. It feels great. It feels fast. But if you get caught off kilter on a rock or something, this one, the TPU will definitely throw your foot in one direction or another. So that's one thing to be aware of. It has all the goods of the Vibram outsole, of course. A little heavier weight. I think upper-wise, same amount of breathability, durability all around. You have the gator attachment points, which I'm a little bit surprised they don't do this with Arc'teryx. They did tighten up the knit collar a little bit. That's okay, but it would be nice if they had a little loop here or something. You can have an integrated Kalos gator with this one, 4-point attachment, so that's really cool. I like this shoe. The upper is, I would say, it runs long and narrow compared to this one. Check the sizing here. This is a 44 US 10 here, whereas this one, 9.5, 43 and a third. This one in my sizing feels a little bit longer. I feel like if I had the 10 in this one, they'd be similar sized, but not as much of a dialed fit as with this one. This one really wraps the foot well. This one you could cinch it down, it holds pretty good, but the upper just feels a little bit less shapely, I would say, as this one. This one really just like wraps the foot, super dialed. Feels like it's totally enveloping your foot, which is a good thing. So hope that answers your question there. Just be prepared for the bounce in this one. It's going to be a different feel than this one. This one you got more control, but firmer ride, of course. This one, if you like cushion feel, like the softness, this would be the one to go for, especially for, say, what was the distance he was saying here? 100-miler. For me, this would not be a 100-mile shoe. I would want a little bit more cushion this one, a little bit more softness underfoot for 100 miles, but people run in a lot of different shoes. Next question here, Eldon Hongo 6095. How about a comparison between the Sky 2, Tecton X3, and the Arc'teryx Sylan 2? Tecton X3, I believe, is totally different. I talked about the X3 and the Cascadia Elite. Those two shoes are more similar in my eyes than certainly the Sylan 2. This is more of a mountain shoe, whereas the Tecton X3, depending on your skill level, you can handle it, but that leans more into the max stack soft cushion territory. Sky 2, I also talked about, thinner, closer to the ground, flexier plate. I like this for technical running. I like the fit of this shoe. It's quite wide up front here. You'll have more volume here. Again, I do have a US 10 EU 44 in this one, so I'm sized a little bigger in this model. The North Face shoes have that big rocker, especially this one. So I definitely want to have the 10 in this one. If I was at a 9.5 in this one with this big toe sweep, I have a little bit of extra space in this 10, but at 9.5, I think I'd be squeezed up front here. So I'm happy with this one. Even though the fit is not quite as dialed as this one, it still holds the foot really well. I've talked about the Vective rocker, the midfoot arch area, kind of seating the shoe on your foot, the bottom of your foot, with the heel being perhaps a little lower, of course the ball of the foot a little lower. I have no problems with foot security in either of these shoes. Next one from Walter Prani, 1872. Could it be a good alternative to the Salomon Genesis S-Lab? 9.2 ounces here on the S-Lab Genesis. This is an oldie but a goodie. They do have a version 2 coming out. I believe it is going to be in the fall. It's been a long time coming for an update to this shoe. One of my favorite shoes of all time. You're definitely going to have more width in here, more comfort in the toe box. This one I have a US 9.5, which is an EU 43 and a third, and it definitely feels spacious in that same US EU sizing as this one here. You have a wider fit by design, more rounded shape up front, but similar to the Sky 2 with a little bit more stack here. It's an extremely flexible shoe. It's even more flexible than that because you also have no plate in the mix. It's pretty wild that Courtney, I'm not sure if she's running in this version or she has a maybe perhaps beefed up version of this shoe. It's pretty amazing that she runs the long distance races that she does in this shoe. Talked about the Prodigio. This was my initial A/B test, these two shoes, and it's really due to that factor, the flexibility of the shoe. Similar here. Again, 9.2 ounces, so light in this shoe, wraps the foot like a glove with a little bit of roominess or volume in the toe box that you can cinch down with this quick lace here. So it's a little bit more comfortable compared to this one, but certainly less protective with all that flex. The EVA olefin midsole, no plate in the mix. I believe there's a very thin film in this shoe, but this shoe is going to be more protective underfoot, more kind of, I would say, precise with a narrower platform on the ground, easier foot placements. This one, you're going to kind of have to manage your footsteps. You don't want to take too many rock hits in this shoe because it's kind of soft and flexy underfoot. Next one, from Zero the Dude, ha 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 ha. Hi, I have the LD4 and find them super comfortable for walking, but too firm for running. How do these compare in terms of cushion? I'll just read off my answer here. Different midsole foams here with the plate in the mix with the Sylan 2. In terms of firmness, it adds up to the same effect. You have 5 millimeters of extra stack here with the Sylan 2, so it depends on if you think of firmness in terms of density of the foam or depth of cushion. The LD4 feels thinner underfoot. You get that, I believe, EVA olefin type midsole here. You have no plate. It feels a little bit more flexible. The foam itself, I would say, feels softer. You have supercritical EVA with a TPEE casing, but also the carbon fiber plate in the mix. So that's what I was getting at. Supercritical EVA is going to be a little softer underfoot, but the plate affects it in such a way where the kind of firmness feels about the same. I would say this probably leans a touch softer, a little bit less stack underfoot. This is a really fun mountain shoe. Check out my sawtooth run in this one. Just a lot of flex. It's similar kind of to these type of shoes with a little bit of a narrower fit, I would say. Super fun shoe to run in. Certainly not as propulsive as the Sylan 2. This is definitely more of your race day kind of performance option, whereas this is going to be the training model. So you have a kind of training racing setup between these two models. Of course, this one's cheaper, a little bit more comfort here, not as dialed of a fit. You have to tension the laces a little bit to get the foot security right, but it's no issue at all. Again, leaning more comfort, more training with this one. In terms of feeling firm, again, I would say the foam is softer itself, but here with the plate in the mix, you're not going to gain any more softness, even though you are 5 mil up in stack here. Last comment here from Nomad 1802. Whoa, thanks. I'm waiting for the other color now. Yeah, this is quite something here. The Deadbird logo, lime green. They did have a couple of other color options, more subdued options, which I believe will be coming out down the line. They want to make a big splash with the bright color straight out of the gate, similar to the ACG Ultrafly. You got the neon green here though. I think it's awesome. I love the look of this shoe, but perhaps if you're looking for a muted kind of earth tony vibe, you might have to wait till later in the summer, perhaps in the fall. So that's about a roundup on the Q&A here. I hope that was helpful to give a few options here. I've got the Norda 001A here. That was another one. I thought I had a question, but I guess I didn't. Similar to these kind of models, a flexible, fun mountain running shoe. You always have to be aware of the heel issue, if that's gonna work for you or not. This is definitely different than this shoe. I did another sawtooth run in this one. You're gonna not have the same level of protection that you have with the Sylan 2. Again, the plate, the TPEE midsole is just more protective underfoot. It's more of a mountain type shoe, whereas this one is a versatile all-arounder, I would say. You can get by in mountain running. I took this shoe for a pretty long run out in the sawtooths, and it was quite comfortable underfoot. You just have to be aware that you're in a flexible shoe, but this shoe is also gonna be more at home on moderate and even light trails. You can definitely do everything in this shoe, whereas this one, likely more reserved for that mountain rugged terrain. It's gonna feel a little bit firm, I would say, on the easier kind of stuff. So 001A, another one in the mix. Hope you like this roundup. I'm trying to do some Q&As before I get into the full A/B testing again. I do want to get these shoes on foot side by side and dig into further details. If I missed any comps or you think other shoes are more comparable, of course, let me know down in the comments. I'll answer whatever questions you have. Check out www.humblerunning.com. Also, check out gorewear.com. Links in the description below. Coming down to the final days there. I haven't checked recently. I don't know what's left in terms of sizing, but they're going out of business end of March. So definitely check them out. Steel Hylas here yet again. Tifosi Sanctum SL shades. Links in the description below. I'll see you back here out in the backyard or on the trails.